What if I told you the 1980s weren't just neon lights and action heroes, but also spies, double agents, and secret wars, shaping cinema as much as real-world politics? Today, we're counting down the greatest 80s spy thrillers, films that captured Cold War paranoia, espionage twists, and unforgettable betrayals. And at the very end, we'll reveal the one movie that turned suspense into pure perfection. Quick challenge. If you were a spy in the 1980s, would you rely more on gadgets or pure instinct? Drop your answer below, and no cheating with modern tech. Codename Emerald. How do you infiltrate the Nazis before D-Day without tipping your hand? Codename Emerald asks exactly that, following an Allied spy who must stop critical invasion plans from falling into German hands. Unlike flashy action thrillers, this one leans on deception, coded exchanges, and tense silence, where one slip means disaster. For many viewers, it felt slower compared to bigger blockbusters of the time, but that pacing is what built its suspense. It's a reminder that espionage isn't always car chases. It's often a battle of patience. This film may not top popularity charts, but it captures the reality of wartime intelligence, subtle, careful, and utterly dangerous. In spycraft and life alike, timing isn't everything, it's the only thing. The formula: oil cartels, Nazi secrets, and two legendary actors, George C. Scott and Marlon Brando, collide in the formula. The story follows a detective uncovering a conspiracy about a synthetic fuel formula stolen from the Third Reich. What sets it apart isn't explosions or gadgets, but how espionage blends with corporate greed. Released just as energy crises gripped the world, its plot felt chillingly possible. A secret weapon doesn't always take the form of missiles. Sometimes it's an idea guarded as fiercely as gold. While critics were divided, the movie's core truth remains. Money, power, and secrecy often overlap more than we think. Brando's performance, even in limited screen time, added an air of menace to the film's message. Follow the money, and sooner or later, you'll find the real secrets. Firefox. Imagine stealing a Soviet fighter jet so advanced it reads the pilot's thoughts. That's the premise of Firefox, Clint Eastwood's Cold War techno-thriller. Half espionage drama, half science fiction, the movie puts a lone pilot behind enemy lines on a mission that sounds impossible. The first half moves like a spy film. Disguises, forged papers, tense meetings in Moscow. Then it shifts gears into an aerial showdown that felt futuristic at the time. Critics were split, but audiences loved the mix of realism and spectacle. Firefox tapped into a deep 1980s fear that technology itself could tip the balance of global power. The film's jet may have been fictional, but the paranoia was not. Technology may change the rules, but human nerves still decide the outcome. The Osterman Weekend. Ever felt the unsettling suspicion that your closest friends were hiding dangerous secrets? That's the nerve Sam Peckinpah twisted in The Osterman Weekend. Adapted from a Robert Ludlum novel, it follows a TV host lured into exposing his old college buddies who may or may not be Soviet spies. Peckinpah, known for gritty action, turned his last film into a web of paranoia and manipulation. Viewers are never sure who's lying, who's watching, or even who's in control. It's messy, yes, but deliberately so, mirroring the disorientation of real espionage. At its core, the film asks, if you can't trust your friends, who can you trust? The answer, unsettlingly, might be no one. In spy games and in life, trust is both fragile and weaponized. The package. What if a routine military transfer hid a plan to assassinate peace itself? That's the hook of the package. a taut thriller starring Gene Hackman and Tommy Lee Jones. Set against U.S.-Soviet disarmament talks, it reveals a conspiracy designed to stop peace before it starts. Unlike many spy films that lean on gadgets, this one is grounded in backdoor politics and military muscle. The pacing is sharp, the stakes global, and the plausibility frightening. Released at the tail end of the Cold War, it carried the haunting message that even progress could be sabotaged from within. It's a reminder that danger isn't always out there. It's often standing right beside you. Peace can collapse with a single betrayal, so guard it fiercely. We're halfway through the countdown, but here's where you come in. Which 80s spy thriller do you think deserves more recognition? Drop your pick in the comments. And if you're enjoying this deep dive into Cold War paranoia and double crosses, hit that like button. It helps this channel keep uncovering classics worth revisiting. The Falcon and the Snowman. Sometimes the most dangerous spies aren't trained operatives. They're ordinary citizens who stumble into treason. The Falcon and the Snowman tells the true story of two Americans. One a disillusioned defense contractor, the other a drug-dealing friend, who sold U.S. secrets to the Soviets. What makes it chilling is how plausible it feels. No gadgets, no tuxedos, just anger, greed, and reckless choices. Timothy Hutton and Sean Penn anchor the film with raw performances that blur loyalty and betrayal. It's not just a spy thriller, it's a morality play about how personal disillusionment can ripple into global consequences. Betrayal didn't come from Moscow here, it came from the suburbs. Treason isn't always born in shadows. Sometimes it starts in daylight. The Fourth Protocol. Could a nuclear bomb really be smuggled into Britain unnoticed? The Fourth Protocol forces you to consider that nightmare. Starring Michael Caine as the weary MI5 veteran and Pierce Brosnan as the chilling KGB operative, it stages a terrifyingly plausible scenario. Dismantling a nuclear weapon piece by piece, then slipping it past intelligence services. What makes the film gripping isn't spectacle, it's credibility. Every step feels frighteningly possible, echoing real Cold War fears of infiltration. Released as nuclear arms treaties dominated headlines, it struck a nerve with audiences who knew the danger was real. Espionage here isn't fantasy, it's survival. Fiction and reality often run side by side until they collide. Gorky Park, a murder mystery set in Moscow, where even corpses can be classified as state secrets. Gorky Park follows William Hurt as a Soviet detective untangling a case that crosses paths with espionage, corruption, and forbidden love. Unlike the typical Western view of spies, this story unfolds behind the Iron Curtain, showing the paranoia of a system where truth itself is dangerous. The icy setting amplifies the isolation, as every clue drags the investigator deeper into political shadows. What makes the film memorable is its atmosphere, cold, relentless, and utterly human. Sometimes, the greatest thrillers aren't about world domination. They're about survival in a system that hides everything. Every buried truth leaves a trace, if you dare to uncover it. No Way Out. A Pentagon thriller, a gripping romance, and one of the most shocking twist endings of the decade. That's No Way Out. Kevin Costner plays a naval officer caught in a deadly triangle of love, politics, and espionage, only to find himself framed for a crime he didn't commit. The tension builds with every turn, until the film detonates its unforgettable reveal, a moment that still sparks debate today. What makes it stand out is how it blends spy games with personal stakes, turning bureaucracy itself into a weapon. By the end, you're left questioning loyalty, identity, and even truth itself. In espionage, nothing is ever what it seems, especially the people you trust. Eye of the needle. Sometimes the deadliest weapon isn't a gun or a bomb. It's patience, sharpened by obsession. Donald Sutherland's chilling performance as a German spy in Eye of the Needle makes this film the definitive 80s spy thriller. Set in wartime Britain, it tells the story of the Needle, a ruthless agent who discovers D-Day's secret, and the lonely woman who becomes his unexpected opponent. What makes the film unforgettable is its intimacy. A cat-and-mouse duel where love and survival collide on a windswept island. No explosions, no gadgets, just raw suspense built from silence and betrayal. It proved that a whisper could cut deeper than a scream. The greatest suspense doesn't shout, it waits, then strikes. From conspiracy webs to double-agent betrayals, 80s spy thrillers mirrored the paranoia of their decade, where trust was fragile and secrets defined survival. And here's the kicker. The 90s pushed espionage even further, swapping paranoia for surveillance and cyber intrigue. That's where we're heading next. So make sure you subscribe so you don't miss it.